Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality going down the stretch here. Is that something
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help. Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe, the same guy who, after he simply said his elite players weren't elite, still decided to immediately walk back that soft-ass criticism. That same guy is now out here tossing his own player under the bus? I'll admit, this all seemed odd. Why single out Kovacevic? Well, he did take a careless delay of game penalty in the first period of this game, sailing one over the boards, but the Devils killed that one off with just a shot on net, and this was a 0-0 game through 20 minutes. The middle frame, where they have normally been good, was a disaster though. Got down to a 2-goal deficit after a terrible start to the period, and while Nico Hischier on the power play would get them to within just a goal, getting some momentum going, and Nason took an offensive zone penalty 30 seconds later, giving Ottawa a power play where they would capitalize to make it 3-1. And while Haula scored a very late game goal in the third, a period where they outshot them 16-4, it was too little, too late, as they lose a game in which they never even led. So again, why Kovacevic? On paper, analytically at least, he was their second best player of the night. Well, I'll get to some of his play as of late, which had to have contributed to this for sure, but first, I think Keefe was set up a bit. This is what Kovacevic said.
We're in a fight, and hopefully that gets us in that playoff mentality, 10, 11 games out, and we carry that into playoffs. So,
in my opinion, a pretty cliche answer. Obviously, we need to be better. You know how that goes. But the reporter asking an already frustrated Keefe, I don't think framed the question accurately.
Kovacevic just mentioned to us that he thinks the team kind of needs to have that playoff mentality.
Kind of twisting his words there, no? He was clearly not happy to begin with, and I think Kovacevic was just the guy brought up who ended up catching a butt end of the stick here. If Keefe had heard what he actually said, I don't think he gets this upset.
Kovacevic just needs to play better. That would help.
But I do think there was also some built-up resentment. They just signed Kovacevic $20 million on a 5-year deal, and this comment came out pretty short. So let's take a look. Again, he did have that penalty in this game, as I mentioned, not great, and just the game prior, he was directly at fault on this one. He panics, coughs the puck up, and that right there was the game winner in a game they should have won. Then in their game against Dallas, same deal. With just a minute left in the second, he also airmailed one there at a brutal time, after which Luke Hughes also took one on that penalty kill, and these penalties directly led to the Stars scoring late in the period. And yet, it was a tied game late in the game, where Kovacevic iced the puck, and this was an unfortunate play. But nonetheless, it was deemed icing, and it was that icing that would directly lead to the Stars winning this game with just seconds remaining in the third. So yeah, after he inked that big deal, it's not ideal that he's now making these mental errors. However, and while I'm not a huge advanced stats guy, on paper, not only did he have a solid game against Ottawa, he's actually been pretty good overall. Him and Pesce are the only players with a goals for percentage at 50 or higher, and also he has their highest expected goals for percentage, meaning he is generating good scoring chances. I think the bigger problem here is that this team as a whole is a shell of themselves. Despite a real solid start from the Devils this season, things have turned with the loss of Jack Hughes. That certainly didn't help. Also missing Dougie Hamilton, and with no Siegenthaler, it's tough. Down to 5 D-men, fatigue has to be setting in, and we see it with plays like this. The bottom 6 is also not strong enough, and every game just feels like a struggle. So when you're just fighting to be good, talking about playoff hockey is maybe a piss off. Let's focus on not being ass first. I think that's all Keefe was getting at here. But all that said, they do have 9 wins in their last 20 games, and they're very likely still making playoffs. Obviously, you don't want to limp into them the way they kind of are, but I think this whole situation is overblown. Keefe definitely threw his guy under the bus. A bit odd to single him out the way he did, but in context, I don't think it's a big deal. He'll probably come out and walk this back anyway. But yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it very much, and I'll see you in the next one.